Report traffic Cessna November Bravo 221 turning left base runway 30 full stop report. Welcome back, air crew. Today's a pretty big day. Today, you have your first solo. Today, there's no CFI sitting there. They say you're ready? I think you're ready. Let's go. How's it going, everyone? And welcome to the first episode of Fly Every Day, where I hope a conversation between me and you can help improve all our flying. Talking about flying, doing flying, just rehearsing. And I think repetition is the key to becoming the best pilot you can be. And that's why we fly every day. All right, so let's start it off right here, right now. We're going to get right into the brief so you know what needs to happen, you know what's expected, and you know what to do on your first solo. All right, everyone, let's get right into this. All right, so who am I? Am I just some random guy on the internet reading the FAR aim to you and we go from there? No. My name's Nick. I'm a private pilot. I love things all aviation, and I have since I was a small kid. Like a lot of you who are jumping on your SIMS, or maybe you're just starting your first lesson, or maybe you're just curious about what it is to be a pilot. Well, maybe I can answer some of those questions for you. At least that's the hope. So I love all things in aviation. I'm an instrument student, and I love aviation safety and knowledge. I'm a weirdo, and I love to study crash investigations and all of that because I feel like it makes you a better pilot to know where your pitfalls can be. So again, I hope that having a conversation about this can make us all a little better. So how it works. We're going to increase our proficiency through practice. The more we practice, the better we get. And that's it. It's really simple. Every flight will have the same format. We brief. This is our brief right now. It's really simple. It's really easy. We're just going to talk about it. And then we fly. Go over all of the brief in detail, and anything that is highly informational, you'll see again. So you'll see it here, and then you should see it again when we fly. And then we debrief. We just talk about what could have been done. What could have been better. See, I can't talk. That's how that works. All right. So what can we have done better? What could be done differently? And, what can be improved on? And most importantly, what was done well? So we can do it again. Let's go. Let's get this done. Just so you're curious, or in case you're curious, the background right here actually is the area we're going to fly in. And we're going to be flying in Tango 41, my backyard. So your first solo, it's an important day. It's crazy big. It's the first time as a student you're going to look over and there's no one sitting next to you. It's all on you, but you've been training. You're ready. You have this. So I broke this down into 3 phases. The takeoff phase, the circuit phase, and the landing phase. Now, if you want it to be super technical, the circuit is the whole thing. But realistically, for me, that is the phase from departing, where you're now leaving Earth, to when you're touching back down. And so just to make it a little simpler, these are the 3 phases that we're going to deal with today. And we're going to be doing it in a Cessna 172. Here it is in all its beautiful glory. The traffic pattern. A lot of people can get overwhelmed, but it's actually pretty simple. I like to explain it as a NASCAR track in the sky. And as you can see at the bottom, the diagram explains that. So today we're going to be taking off runway 30 from Tango 41, LaPorte Municipal. We're going to go and start at the departure phase. Then we're going to enter crosswind, downwind, base, and final. And if any of this information is coming at you too fast, or as some of us say, drinking from a fire hose, be happy to slow it down or just hit pause and take a look at anything you need to. So this right here in the top left-hand corner is Laporte Municipal's AFD section, or its Airport Facility Directory, where you could get all the extra information about that facility. And, basically you can see at the top that it's 3 nautical miles, okay, northwest of a city, okay, and all the other runway information you need. Okay, so we're going to start with our departure leg, and I'm going to expect you to rotate or start to have the airplane lift off at 60 knots. The airspeed will come alive. Once it hits 60, I want you to gently pull back on the yoke. And then from there, once we're actually flying, I'd like you to hold an airspeed of 80 knots. The first turn from departure to crosswind will be at 400 feet, and these turns will all be in 90-degree increments. So as this is the first slide that we've done this, the left side is going to be what is expected or what is the directions, and the right side is going to be our traffic pattern call. So our first call will be Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, departing runway 30, remaining in the traffic pattern, full stop, Laporte. And I will abbreviate full stop with an FS. Now, you could also do a touch and go if you'd like. And that would just go Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, departing runway 30, remaining in the pattern, touch and go, Laporte. Crosswind leg. Turn 90 degrees left, which is standard traffic pattern, to the left. Climb to traffic pattern altitude, or the TPA, of 800 feet. When established, so you've put in that trim and everything feels like it's all comfortable, you're going to turn downwind. Now, we roughly like to do these turns at 45 degrees. So if you look at the runway and you look at the diagram of the airplane, if you could make a 45-degree line off that runway, when the airplane intersects that angle, that's when you're going to about make that turn. And when you turn to downwind, roughly the airplane should be at the middle of the strut, but we'll get to that. This call would go Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, crosswind, runway 30, Laporte. Our downwind leg. Established at 800 feet, we're going to bring our RPM from full to 2100. Once you're crossing the numbers, carb heat, 10 degrees flaps, and you're aiming for about 90 knots. Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, downwind, runway 30, full stop, Laporte. Now again, this is a non-towered airport, so you make these calls to make it aware to others that you are in the pattern and this is what you're doing. Our base leg, altitude 400 to 500 feet. You bring your RPM back to about 1800, 20 degrees of flaps, and 80 knots. Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, base, runway 30, full stop, Laporte. All right, on to final. Your altitude is 400 to 500 feet. Your RPM is 1500 to idle. These airplanes can glide pretty well if you're established. 20 to 30 degrees flaps, personal choice. 70 knots. At 50 feet, you want to begin a slight flare. Let the plane settle to the ground, increasing flare as needed. Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, final runway 30, Laporte. Repeat this until it's butter, until the wheels just slightly just roll right onto the ground, okay? You got this. Next, we're going to taxi in and shut down. I've illustrated the parking location, so we've been taking off runway 30, and you can use that diagram if you need to. Shutdown consists of mixture to idle cutoff, electronics off. So that's any aviation electronics. So equipment, your Garmin, your screens, avionics, lights, anything like that are off. Once the propeller stops spinning, the key is turned to the off position and your master's off. That's it. You're done. You completed it. At this point, you want to put in your pitot tube, your gust lock, clean up the airplane. That's it. All right. Class is over. We've now pre-flighted. It's time to go do the walk around, fly, and debrief. I'll see you out there. How's it going, flight crew? And welcome to the Cessna Skyhawk, November Bravo 221. Like every flight, we're going to start off doing a walk around. If you're not comfortable flying the airplane, you really shouldn't be flying it. And for me, the best way to gain that comfortability is being comfortable that the aircraft you're flying is airworthy and up to your standards. So at first, what I kind of like to do as it's sitting on the ground is I like to just kind of take a general overview of the airplane, make sure there isn't anything crazy hanging off, missing. And this is generally where I'll catch an engine cover or a baffle cover, maybe a pitot cover. And when I first walk up to the airplane, I will snag that. And once we're done with that, we can walk a little closer here and we'll take a closer look. Okay, and we want to just basically make sure that everything's in order. And so what I generally do is I first get into the airplane, drop my headset off, get all that stuff situated, and then I grab the checklist. And sometimes I'll basically, and you try to get a flow going so you do everything the same way. So first I will sump the fuel tanks, which the sumps should be at least on my aircraft is somewhere right here, and they're not here. And then it would be in the same spot over here on this one. So I'm going to sump both of them. I'm going to check that. Well, I'm standing right here. I'm also going to pop this little hood right here, get the fuel, and drain any excess fuel out of the low sump. And the low sump will be basically down here. Once that's done, you basically crawl yourself off the ground, all right? And sometimes you can step on these ladder positions right here, and you're going to check gas cap 1 and gas cap 2 to make sure you visually check to make sure the fuel is actually there. And once that's done, I basically reset myself, and I will generally start at the back half of the airplane, all right, because I've come here. I will flip on the lights and switches, okay, and we'll make sure that everything's working. So basically all you have to do is throw on your master, and then you flip on all your lights and make sure that they're working, which today for me they're not. So basically you do a little walk and make sure that all your lights are working. And you'd make sure that your left light is red, your right light is green, that your headlight is working, which is right there, and your beacon, of course, is working. Once that's done, you're basically just going to walk around the airplane. Make sure that your baggage door is closed, okay, that there are no rivets popping out, and everything on the body, for the most part, looks good. All right, and then we're going to walk over here to the horizontal stabilizer, and we're going to make sure that it looks good, okay, nothing popping out, and that's looking good. All right, and we're going to, sometimes I run my hand across it. We're also going to look at the vertical stabilizer, the vertical stab, make sure that's looking good. And for the most part, It is. No issues there. All right. Now I will run my hands along the edge right here and just make sure it moves. You know, and you'll see it. You'll see it move. All right, on to the next one. We will do this side basically the same way. So then you're going to basically do the same thing along this edge. Once that's done, you're going to go look at the wheel pans, and you're going to make sure that they are, the brakes all look good, and then you're going to run your hand across the edge here, and I generally like to move the flap, make sure the flap looks good, make sure the flap bar looks good. Unfortunately, I can't really do, there we go. And you're basically going to go through and make sure that all the components under here look good. Then you're going to look at the ailerons, make sure they look good. Run your hand across the edge here, and then across the leading edge. If that's looking good, we can then come back and look at this, the strut, make sure that's looking good. A lot of times I will literally run my hand along this. Watch out, because there's usually bugs on there. Alright, then we want to make sure the exhaust pipe is secure. And then we are going to make sure the prop is good, that there's no bugs, there's nothing in here. And we're going to kind of basically peek in there and make sure that everything looks really good. Alright, then once that's done, we come to the static port right here, make sure the static port's good. Check the vents while we're doing this, and any overflows you might have for fuel. Wave at yourself as you sit in the cockpit. Alright. And make sure, again, this is where you double check that your pitot tube is off. Then we run our hand down this side, make sure the strut is looking good, everything's attached, again, nothing hanging off. We can then look at our landing light, that is looking great. Same thing here. We'll look at the aileron and the whole wing as a whole, make sure it's good. Alright, make sure the hinges look good, and that's that. The other thing is a lot of checklists also include antennas, so you want to make sure that your antennas are looking good. And then a lot of times I'll just kind of step back for a second and look at the airplane as a whole. How does the airplane look? It's looking really good, and so I'm happy. Alright, so that is the walk around complete. We've done everything. I think we're happy with our airplane. It's time to go fly. Welcome back, aircrew. Today's a pretty big day. Today, you have your first solo. Today, there's no CFI sitting there. They say you're ready. I think you're ready. Let's go. So let's go through all the steps. So we've already gone through all the planning. We've already talked about our radio calls. We've already done all that. But just to refresh, we have our departure, our crosswind, our downwind, our base, and our final. Our traffic pattern altitude that we're trying to hit is 800 feet. In a beam of the runway on downwind, we want to set ourselves up for about 90. On base, we're looking for 80. And on final, we want 70. We want to hold 70 all the way down. So, I think you guys are ready. So remember, our traffic calls start with the place we're at. So today, we're at my home airport, LaPorte Municipal, right here in Houston. And if you'd like to, you're more than welcome to come fly here. It's an awesome airport. There's also some overlying Class Bravo and a Class Charlie not far away. So if you're looking for something more advanced, they're all right here. Also, it's really beautiful with the ocean not too far away. And as we fly more, you'll definitely get to see my home area. So I hope you guys enjoy. So back to that radio call. So it would be LaPorte traffic, our airplane, which we are Cessna, right? It's a Cessna Skyhawk. November, Bravo 221. Left, wherever we happen to be, if it's the departure, the crosswind, the downwind, the base, or the final. Left denoting if it's left traffic or right traffic. The runway, and today we are going to be using runway 30. And is it going to be a full stop, a touch and go, a stop and go? And today our first landing, or our first two landings are going to be touch and goes, which means once the wheels hit the ground, we're going to need to get our carb heat off if we have it. This airplane does not have carb heat. And we're going to need to get our flaps up and get that throttle in. And in that order. So flaps up. Once the flaps are up, you're going to kind of look over your shoulder, make sure the flaps are actually up. Then you're going to push that throttle in nice and smooth. Once the throttle's in, eyes back to the end of the runway. Wait for airspeed to come back up to 60. Okay, because that's our rotate speed is 60. At 60, we gently pull the yoke. Pull the yoke back. All right. And we're going to climb at 80. Okay, and then we're just going to repeat that circuit 3 times. On the last one, okay, we are going to do a full stop. So for brevity, and I know this is a contentious subject when it talks about radio calls, we're going to make our calls, at least I'm going to make my calls, on downwind, base, and final. I will also generally call my departure leg. Just to keep everyone in the local traffic area aware of what we're doing. And the more information we can give and the more information we can get keeps us safer, more informed pilots. So today, guys, let's get into it. Let's do your first solo. And from here on out, let's keep flying every day. Keep yourself sharp. And just make yourself that much of a better pilot. All right. So it does look like our parking brake is not out, so we're going to pull it out. All right, there we go. Brakes are fine. We're going to run through everything. Our beacon is on, so right there, right? Beacon is on, so when we start up, it's going. Our mixture is full rich, and our throttle here is just in a quarter. All right. Now, as always, we want to do everything by the checklist. So you'd have your checklist on your lap. I, unfortunately, have a VR headset on, so I can't have that. But I do like to go through these as I can. Before starting into our seatbelts are on. Our fuel selector is on both. Our brakes are in and locked, and we have the parking brake on. And the circuit breakers are all in. All right, so that's that checklist complete. We'll pop the window, clear prop. Our key is in. Okay, our master is on. We're gonna put our hand on the throttle. Okay, left hand on key. Both, here we go, and start. Both set. Look around, make sure there is no one walking up towards you. Feet, brakes, set, go. All right, looks like we got a nice start. We want to bring our throttle right to 1,000, so that's 980. I can take that right there. All right, now that we're on and running, we're going to throw our avionics on. While we're waiting for our secondary screen to pop up, our primary flight display is aligning now. We're going to hit the enter key on our Garmin 1000. All right, so beacon's on, our taxi's on, our nav light's on, and our strobe is on just to make us nice and visible. All right, our walk is complete. Our pre-flight cockpit briefing is complete. And I think for the most part, we're ready to roll, but we'll review the list here. Okay, so the mixture is rich. Carb heat is cold, master on. Yep, prime is required, which we didn't need to prime. Today's airplane doesn't have a prime. Throttle open to a quarter, we did that. Yep, all right. Now we've checked our oil, we're good on oil. All right, we're gonna taxi and we'll do our mag check and then we're good. So there is a run-up pad just over that way over there. So that's where we're gonna go. All right, we're clear to start moving. We're gonna put our feet on the brakes right there. we're going to release our parking brake. Now this is going to need quite a bit of throttle to get it moving. Where our feet are. Now you want to sometimes rest your feet on the floor. That might help. Alright. Give it some power here. Something I've noticed with this one is it won't actually start moving unless the nose wheel is straight. So look at that. I have to give it a ton of power. Oh, wait, back that power off. Alright, we're going to look down the runway as we're doing the... Oh, hello. Yeah, see, that's the problem, is you end up going real fast. No one coming from the left to stop us. No one coming from the right. We are good to go. The windsock is pointing us down to 30. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this airport, again, we are at Tango 41 LaPorte Municipal. Can't talk today. And you're welcome to follow along or fly along with me. Again, that's Tango or T41. Alright, we're going to power back here because we were just taxiing real fast. And the faster you taxi, the faster you have to stay ahead of the airplane. And I don't want to fight it. So the wind is coming from behind us, so we're going to pull into this spot here. The airplane likes to turn left better than it likes to turn right. So we're going to come over into one of these spots over here. And we're going to imagine there's a spot here. And we're just going to... Alright, now we're going to put some power in. And you're going to see me work the brakes here. And that just gets us in a nice tight circle. And I put my tail behind us. And I face us into the wind. Alright, bring the power back to 1,000. Close enough. We'll leave it at... Yeah, it's actually looking like it's coming down anyway. Alright, we're going to reinitiate our parking brake. And now we're going to do our run-up. Okay, now, if you've already flown the airplane, and you did your landings with your instructor, you're good. Unless they've told you need to. Now, I'm not an instructor. This is just a conversation between pilots. So, remember, always do what they tell you. This is just to keep us sharp and keep us going. Alright, so our mag check. So we're going to run through a mag check. We want to bring it up to 1800. Now again, always follow your POH, Pilot's Operating Handbook, or your checklist if it has something different. So I like to realistically get it somewhere. Wow, it's bouncing around a lot today. So we're going to let it sit for a sec, because you keep chasing it, it's going to alternate. So that's 1800 on the dot. Alright, left mag. Dropped a lot. Let's see if the right mag matches. We're good on that. Now your checklist should recommend a minimum mag drop. Alright. Now if we have a carb heat, we'll check the carb heat. That seems good. At this point, we're also going to check fuel flow, oil pressure, oil temps, all looking good. And fuel in general is looking good. Vacuum's looking good, so all that looks good. Alright, now we're going to bring it down to idle. Everything's smooth running. At this point, we're going to get our landing light on. Back to 1,000. Alright, that's good enough. feet on the brakes. We're going to disengage our parking brake. If you need to, now would be the time to go through anything you need to prepare. So before you start moving. So I've already prepared the radios. So the current CTAF for LaPorte Airport is 120275. But, you know, say you have a pen and paper on your lap and you need that to write things down. Now's the time to do it. Now you're sitting here comfortably. You know, the engine's not really ticking away too much right now. And you always want to be ahead. So this is the time to set yourself up to be ahead. So we also have programmed 120275, which is our AWAS frequency, into the secondary, so 120275 into there. And I generally carry a pad of information with me just so I can write things down, or I have these frequencies if needed. Carry for flight, you know, that's expensive for simming. But you'll see in future flights I will have an iPad of sorts sitting on my lap that I can use to run through information. And we'll go from there. But today we're just staying in the traffic pattern, so we can keep it nice and simple. So at this point we would switch over, we'd listen to the AWAS, we'd confirm that the weather is what it is, and I do know that it's like 270 degrees, so it's coming down 270. That's only 20 degrees off this runway 30, and it's at like 6 or 7 knots. So our weather is good. So one last quick check. Flaps are up, fuel selector both, trim set. Okay, and we are good. So we make a taxi call if we need to, but we're at untowered, so we're just going to continue forward here. Take our parking brake off. Make sure there's no one coming up to us. Little blast, just to get us rolling. Alright, and stop here, right on the line. And it does not like when I shift over for some reason. I'll try to not do that. Alright, so we are in the approach path of runway 30, and I've purposely angled the airplane this way. Okay, not straight on at the taxiway, because you'd have this pillar and this roof all right here in your way. But this gives me the whole windshield of visibility. So now I can really look to make sure there's no one coming. We are at an untowered airfield, so someone could run at any runway, land at any runway. So as we sit here, we just want to make sure we're listening to our CTAF, make sure any communications. Now, this is most likely the runway they're going to use, and that's how we kind of have to go about it. Sit quiet, there's no one here. All right, so let's do our first call here that we're taking the runway. So LaPorte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, taking runway 30, remaining in the pattern, touch and go, LaPorte. All right, so that just kind of gives anyone an idea of what we're doing, and we're taking the runway. Now, I try not to fill those radio calls with too much information because they can get confused, but there's no one coming as far as we can tell. Alright, we're sitting on the runway, everything's set, landing light on. Mixture full, rich. Okay, there we go, we're good. Alright, we're going to full power. Looking for 23. 23 is good. Looking down the runway, release the brakes. Getting that right rudder in there. Anticipate that right rudder and the need of it, and you'll be looking a lot smoother. All right, so we're looking for airspeed alive. Airspeed is alive. We're also looking for 60 and then 80. There we go. We're getting close. That's it right there. And just pull off. Now we know it's 30, so we're looking for 30 on the heading indicator, and we're just kind of check on that occasionally. All right, just to keep your runway heading. At 400 feet, we'll make our first turn. Now, roughly 10 degrees is about what we want. This 80 knot climb. Port traffic, Cessna, November Bravo 221, departing runway 30, remaining in the traffic pattern. Full stop, Laporte. Now, our traffic pattern altitude is, again, 800 feet. So, we're getting close. We're going to bring the nose down. There we go. Right at the bottom of the green is where I think I generally like it here. Alright, and we're going to start turning downwind. Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, turning downwind. Left downwind, runway 30, full stop, Laporte. Alright, and that tells them where we are. We're going to drop the nose because we are climbing, and we're going to look for 30 on the bottom of the heading indicator right there. Add a little trim in, okay, and I'll keep the nose up. And we're going to get ourselves set up. Now we don't want to keep too much power in because we'll overfly this. So there's 800, we're looking good. Start pulling power back. We want to be out doing 90 at this first section. If we have carb heat's coming in now. Landing light is on. Alright, so power back. 18. Looking for 90, so let that nose drop. First 10 degrees of flaps. A little. Holding 90. Alright, turning base. Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, turning left base, runway 30, Laporte. Pulling a little more power out. Looking for about 80. 20 degrees of flaps. Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, turning final, runway 30, Laporte. And we want 70. So this one's a little tight, but I think we'll be alright. Now this thing carries power, and I'm really trying to figure out how to get it to not carry power. Alright, so looking for that center line. Oh, there we go. Start the flare. Get your nose centered. Let that airspeed die off. Bring that nose up. Brake. Oh man. Alright, we're gonna use we'll go all the way down. Alright, full. There we go, we're good. Flaps up. Could have been a little faster. There it is, airspeed's alive. Holding 30. I'm not going to do all the radio calls this time. I'm just going to do my downwind base and final. Looking over my shoulder, make sure we are aligned where I want to be. And we're going to turn downwind. Hold some power. Drop the nose. Report traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, turning downwind runway 30, full left downwind runway 30, full stop, report. Alright, power's already immediately back. We're going to get ourselves set up. Now, I feel like I was really close on that one, and that's why we landed as long as we did. So we can adjust for that. Pull power back just a little bit sooner. Carpet in if needed. 10 degrees of flaps. Holding 90. Okay. So we're going to hold this down a little longer until we're abeam. I think I turned a little early. I'm going to try to get this power out. There we go, 17. Alright. Laporte traffic, turning base. Cessna November Bravo 221, turning base, runway 30, left base, runway 30, full stop, Laporte. And I keep forgetting that, turn.
500.
Looking good. 20 feet, power. Looking for about 80, a little more trim. We're going to turn final. Port traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, turning final, runway 30. Stop and go, Laporte. Touch and go actually is what we want. So, that actually is looking really good. We want 70, so we're going to bring the nose back just a tad. And pull that power out, because we got this. Now, 30 degrees of flaps is entirely up to you. I generally do 20, because at 30, this thing really sinks. Added some power right there because I know we're going to sink. And I wanted to hit the numbers. I'll see what floated because we added that power. Let it settle, let it settle. There we go. Full power. Flaps up. Flaps are up. There we go. Get back off the ground. And you want to do that as quickly as possible to alleviate yourself and give yourself time, if required, to do any emergency procedures. If you need to bring the nose back down, if for some reason something's not happening. Give yourself as much runway as possible to work with. Feet. Start that turn. I brought power back a little bit because I feel like I'm climbing super fast today. A lot of times I feel like I hit 800 feet in the real world at about downwind. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221 on downwind, left downwind, runway 30, full stop, Laporte. Alright. So that one we added power, and we probably only needed to add just a little bit. That's okay. They've all been really good landings. They've all been through the center line. And no complaints there. So we're doing about what we want, right at 800 feet. Everything's looking good. We could move a little bit this way. Alright, we're gonna start setting ourselves up. Bring that power back to about 18 right at first. Bring that nose down, a little trim. 90, 80, 70 in this Skyhawk. Alright. Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, turning left base, runway 30, full stop, Laporte. Alright, pull power out. And I'm going to go right to 20. Get that nose in. Pull a little more power out because that's been an issue. Laporte traffic, Cessna November Bravo 221, turning final, runway 30, Laporte. Yeah, power should be almost idle at this point. I put a little more power in because I felt like I was low, and I want to make sure I get to the stripes here. Looking good. Get yourself aligned, straightened up. Yeah, we're gonna start pulling this power out now. This is gonna be a good one. Alright, power is out. Just let it settle to the ground now. Eyes to the end of the runway. Pull that flare and just hold it off. Brake, 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 brake. Flaps up. Man, I definitely could have gotten off at that taxiway. Alright, so we don't want to sit on the runway too long. I want to make sure we clear to the right, clear to the left. We are going to just stop ourselves. As long as our tail is over, we are good, which we should be able to look at that. Alright, so up to 1,000. Man, every time I go look at that, that does that. Alright, we're going to lane our mixture. Laporte traffic, Cessna, November Bravo 221, clear of runway 30, Laporte. Alright, again, we are clear to the right. Clear all the way down. Looking good. Alright, let's add our power back in. We are lean for taxi. Alright, we're looking left, we're looking right. We're going to slow ourselves down because we are coming up to this runway. Laporte traffic, Cessna, November Bravo 221, crossing runway 30, Laporte. And just double checking, there's no one out there. Head is always on a swivel. Watch, watch, watch. Constantly. You're watching and you're doing checklists. That's being a pilot right there. Like that is truly what it is. All right, so and you fly the airplane until you turn it off. Those are my words of wisdom today. What's up, John? We'll go back to our parking spot here. And we'll tie the airplane down and we'll debrief. How did things go? What could we have done better? Oh, man. Alright, so now we're going to do that little pedal technique. Ready? Alright, make sure it's straight. There we go. Back to 1,000. Now make sure you have what you like to do. Everyone kind of has their own process about doing this, but you know, always first, you know, run the checklist, but get your flow. So my flow is from right to left at this point. Okay, and I'm going to pull the mixture. When the propeller stops spinning, I can turn the key off. Okay, then I hit the avionics switch. And then I hit the master, okay? But if I do it that way, I get a flight log and whatever. So then the airplane shut down. Okay, then at that point, if you have a parking brake, feet can now come off the pedals, and you're good to do whatever it is you need to do. Do you need to take down the Hobbs time, or whatever it is that you need to do? Take your headphones off and get yourself cleaned up, and that's it. All right, guys, so I hope that was somewhat informative, and and this is why we fly every day, to keep all these skills up. All right, so let's get into the debrief, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Grab all your stuff. Welcome back, everyone, and I hope your flight went really well. I hope you managed to find that butter smooth landing. All right, so let's go over the debrief. The more specific the debrief, the better you're going to be for your next flight. So let's go through it. How was my pattern? How was the entry? How was the exit? How were the turns? Did I hold my altitude? How were my radio calls? Did I remember anything? Was there anything I forgot? Did I slur something? Did I remember to click the button? Was I panicky? How was my flow between legs? Between phases, between steps, was everything smooth? Was I ahead of the airplane? Was I behind the airplane? How are my airspeeds? Were my airspeeds on point? Was I a little fast? Was I a little slow? And how were my landings? Of course, every pilot wants to know. How were my landings? So go through these, pull apart what you need to, and figure out how your flight went. None of my content is intended to replace education. None of my information or content is intended to be a replacement or in lieu of actual ground school or a replacement for CFI education. If you are truly interested in flying, find a CFI, find a school. All of my content is intended for entertainment purposes only. Post a comment below if you have specific questions about becoming a pilot. I'd be glad to help. Thank you again, guys. And remember, fly every day.